So when I first saw the trailer for Dangerous Animals, I thought it looked fantastic, right? This random guy who's this serial killer that just feeds people to sharks. It's genius. You know, he gets rid of the evidence, and technically he's feeding wildlife. It's absolutely awesome. But it was thrilling. I actually enjoyed it from start to finish. Yeah, there were some scenes in it that were very questionable. I'll get into that later. But overall, it was a very, very cool movie, right? So Jai Courtney plays this character Tucker, and he absolutely killed it. His performance is just phenomenal. The only thing I remember him from is Suicide Squad when he's Captain Boomerang, and then the worst Terminator movie, I guess next to Dark Fate, Terminator Genesis, when he played Kyle Reese. So I don't really know much about what else he's done, but as this character, oh my gosh, he was awesome. He did a fantastic job as this unhinged shark feeder. It's all about the sharks and watching the sharks do what they do in their environment. But so yeah, he plays this character Tucker, who has this business, right, where he takes people shark diving on his boat, and he's got his cage and everything, puts them in, lets the sharks get all close, does that all the whole spiel, and then he ends up killing the men, the boyfriends, the husbands, and then kidnaps the women to then feed them to the sharks later on. He has these bunch of vintage like video cameras, and he records them and saves the tapes, and he pretty much gets off on it and like dances and shimmies around and shit to him, and it's just super crazy, super weird. And I was totally there for it. It was just so much fun. I could see there being a Dangerous Animals too, but I do not think that would happen now. But it would be pretty funny if they had been able to make one. But so the film follows Tucker, right? And he's just killing people and feeding them to sharks, doing what he does. And then into the frame comes Zephyr, right? This character Zephyr, she's this vagabond, right? This girl that's just traveling all around the cities or coast or wherever the fuck. She's, away from her family. There's really no backstory to her. And she ends up being kidnapped by him, and he's, trying to feed her to the shark, and she becomes the heroine of the story that ends up defeating him. And, it's pretty cool. It's a very straightforward story. But his acting and performance of the character Tucker was just awesome. I was floored. There were some scenes that were definitely kind of questionable. One in particular that I will discuss is the main chick. Zephyr, she bites off her thumb to try to get out of the handcuffs that she's in when he has her and this other chick kidnapped, and he's waiting to get them to feed them to the sharks. And it's just ridiculous because she bites her thumb off, but she doesn't scream or cry or nothing. She just chews through her thumb and is able to get the cuffs off. And it's even in the first Saw movie when Cary Elwes sawed off his foot, not only was he screaming and he almost passed out, he turned bleach white and was crawling away, literally losing his voice, blood dragging the whole way. And it's just really I did not believe her biting her thumb. The minute she bit her thumb off, I was I don't know. But the movie was a solid, the whole, from start to finish, it was good. It kept you invested. Your belief didn't have to be suspended too much because it makes perfect sense. Like I said, he's feeding these victims to sharks. That's how he gets his kills, and that's what his serial killer likeness is all about. But he's also feeding the wildlife. He's getting rid of the bodies. It makes complete sense, but it's also wow. I was hoping it would have been a bit more bloody, right? I was expecting more shark attacks, shark deaths, shark brutal shreddings and stuff, but none of that really happened. Unfortunately, that was the only real letdown I had of the film, that I just really wanted to see some R-rated shark killings, and they're the best it really feels like is a comparison to Ace Ventura, when Ace Ventura's in that pool thing with the shark, and the shark's dragging him around, and he obviously is okay because he was talking to the shark, or the shark was probably just happy to see somebody. But here, when the shark does that, that was the first thing I thought of, and I was kind of laughing and hoping they were going to start showing underwater, it tearing her apart or something. But then her leg just floats, she stops moving and her leg floats up, and you're just kind of oh, look at that. She's legless and she's bleeding out. She's definitely going to die. And then later they show her torso kind of floating in the water, and you're nah. Other than that, I did really like the movie from start to finish. It was a solid run, thrilling, kept you invested. Jai Courtney's performance as this guy Tucker was awesome. There's a lot of twists and turns. Times you think she's gonna escape, she doesn't, and I will say I'm gonna be making a video on Ballerina soon from the world of John Wick, but I will elaborate on how I am glad that women are becoming. I want women to become more vulnerable. All this girl bossing stuff sucks and is the worst right now. We've already had enough of it through the MCU, and some movies here and there have had their female characters just be overly either smart or strong or whatever. And it's that's fine and all, but like I said, this girl biting off her thumb, even a guy wouldn't really be able to do that. Like a woman definitely wouldn't be able to. And again, don't know her backstory. Maybe she was attacked or something horrible happened to her sexually where she just doesn't care about her body and she can just chew through her thumb. But still, damn. But again, it was a fantastic movie. Definitely would suggest it. If Jaws still freaks you out, you should watch this movie. Because then it'll make you think like, hey, if you're ever on vacation and just be wary of the people that are like helping you out, like to go shark diving, because they probably got like some sadistic shit going on in their head where they're like, man, what if the cage opened up? Yeah, I don't know, but still, it was a fantastic movie, and it's done by an Australian director. I didn't even know Jai Courtney was Australian actually, but apparently it's the director's like third movie. And he has very timely gaps in between his films, but his films apparently are really good. His first two, so I'll have to check them out. But this film, from what critics say, is just as great, and even though it's obviously different, it's just as great. And it's this guy's like signature, love for serial killers and like deaths, murders, all that stuff. Like traditional like horror, thriller, sci-fi movies. And I'm totally for this director, and I'm excited to see what he does in the next like 5 years or so, I guess, when he decides to make another movie. But yeah, I will definitely not be going shark diving anytime soon. Maybe one day when I'm like, 80, I'll do it. That way, if anything happens, I'm like, it's about my time anyway. But other than that, yeah, I don't think I would ever go shark diving. Like, no, I'm just not down. I could see them from the boat. But even then, I've seen Jaws. Some boats can go down. But definitely check it out. Dangerous Animals. It's absolutely fantastic. You'll definitely be at the edge of your seat. This has been Ghost on the Craig. Thanks so much for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace. And just remember, the sharks are the beasts and the alphas of the sea. But us humans, we're the alphas on land.